Ladies and gentlemen, finally, Mike Dinero has returned to the Bloodline Entertainment Network. First and foremost, make sure you throw your ones up in there for the Bloodline Entertainment Network. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now on the Bloodline Entertainment Network YouTube page. Make sure you check out the bloodlinenetwork.com. You don't want to miss out on all the cool shit that's happening here on the Bloodline Entertainment Network. Welcome to the first edition of Raw Doggin with Dinero, where we watch the last half hour of Monday Night Raw together. And boy, was this a really good Monday Night Raw, because this Monday Night Raw is serving not only as the go-home show of before Backlash, but also as night 2 of the fucking WWE draft. So this is a big stacked Raw, double duties. You know what I mean? We're about to get into the main event, which is coming up shortly. Seth freaking Rollins versus Solo Sikoa. We just saw an amazing intergender 6-person tag matchup where Selena Vega teamed up with Santos Escobar and with Rey Mysterio, the Hall of Famer, to go against Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio. Very fun matchup. Let's get into the chat. The chat's already popping. What's up? We got Tim King in the house. What's up, brother? Throw your ones up for the homie Tim King. We got the future in the house. We got Broadcast in the house. What's popping? Yes, I am back. I'm back like Eric Bischoff, who was also on this episode of Monday Night Raw. What up, Tribal Chief in the building? Thank you so much for being here, bro. What up, Nick from the Universal Wrestling Podcast? Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about these draft picks, because there's some big names off the board. You know, we started out hot. Triple H came out like he did on SmackDown. He laid the ground rules, and he also announced that Brock Lesnar has negotiated a new contract where he will be a free agent and allowed to work both Raw and SmackDown, which I'm not surprised. If anybody's going to work that out, it'll be Brock Lesnar. But I also think that's kind of lame, because if you had Roman Reigns holding both titles and he's not allowed to do that, why is Brock Lesnar allowed to do that? But nonetheless, Brock Lesnar will be on both Raw and SmackDown. He will be free to go wherever the hell he wants. We got a lot of big names off the board in the first couple picks, because the Raw started out with their draft pick. They got the SmackDown Women's Champion, and now I am assuming the Raw Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley. SmackDown gets Austin Theory, the United States Champion, which makes sense, being that on SmackDown, we had the Intercontinental Champion and the Raw Women's Champion go to SmackDown. So it makes sense. You know, we have to make sure that there's not 2 mid-card titles on one show, with one show having none. Then we also have Raw selecting Seth freaking Rollins, who was a huge name that I thought was missing on Friday. You know, we knew that 50% of the roster was going to be drafted tonight, so they had to keep some big names, and boy, did they ever, because Seth Rollins was drafted to Monday Night Raw. On SmackDown, we got Charlotte Flair. So right now, the way it looks, besides some names, it looks like some of the wrestlers that have been on these shows for a while are going to stay where they are. Charlotte's been on SmackDown for a while. You know, she's going to stay there. We have Rhea Ripley, who's been on Raw for a while, and Seth Rollins, who's been on Raw for a while. They're going to stay there. We had the main event set up, because out comes Paul Heyman, and he starts shit-talking the roster, the backstage. And one of those people that was being called a clown was Seth freaking Rollins, and Seth Rollins comes out to confront Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman gets a call from the Tribal Chief on the cell phone, which is a nice throwback. You know, I don't know if people get the throwback of Paul Heyman constantly on the cell phone. Shout out to Paulie Dangerously back in the day with the big brick phone. You know, I mean, I think that's a nice little throwback, and it's also a modernized Paulie Dangerously, which is really cool. And I'm excited, because this sets up for the first time ever Solo Sikoa and Seth Rollins in the main event, which we'll get to shortly. Let's talk about round 2 of the draft. A lot of big picks tonight. I want to know what you guys think in the chat. Tell me what you think. What do you guys think about these picks? Because there is a lot of big names off the board. Booker T and Queen Sharmell come out to announce the round 2 draft picks for Raw and SmackDown. Raw selecting Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the tag team champions. And now I wonder, what does that mean? Does that mean that the SmackDown tag team titles will be taken away and stripped from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and go to SmackDown, because you can't have both the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles on one show. Also, we also had Raw Select, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez. Shit, I'm living in the NXT days, which is insane because that means Raw now holds not only the men's tag team champions, but the women's tag team champions. Also, SmackDown selects the Usos. Now, I thought that they were going to do something big with the Usos, something big with the Bloodline, being that the Usos was not drafted with Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns, and Paul Heyman. I thought maybe we might see a plot twist and a swerve, and the Usos maybe drafted to Raw. But I guess they were just saving them for the second half of the rosters and the night 2 of the draft. The Usos are going to be with the Bloodline still on SmackDown. Makes sense. Raw gets the Judgment Day, another team that's been on Raw mostly, so they're going to stay put. I think that it's going to be interesting because SmackDown gets the LWO, including Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio. So I think with that, I think that it's going to be nice to see a separation between the Judgment Day and the LWO, even though they just had a banger of a match a couple minutes ago. We're going to see a nice separation between them. And now we see some new things. I could see maybe Imperium and the Judgment Day, getting it on. It's going to be interesting. But round 2, a lot of big names off the board. Let's get into round 3. Shawn Michaels comes out with Adam Pearce. But before round 3 got underway, we had Brock Lesnar come out, interrupting. Brock Lesnar looking like John Wayne. Brock Lesnar, country Brock. As Dom said, under Lesnar. Looking like the Undertaker. He comes out. He wants a fight. Adam Pearce is not going to have it. He has a whole army of security come in, try and take Brock out the ring. And from behind, Cody Rhodes attacks Brock Lesnar and gets the better of Brock Lesnar. Then both men are swarmed by security, and we are, on our way to this Saturday where it will be Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes finally, getting the upper hand, even though Brock Lesnar was held back. Right now, they're showing Bianca Belair versus Io Sky going down at Backlash. That should be a good matchup. Before we get into the rest of the draft picks from earlier, we got some draft picks about to be announced. Shout out to player Teddy Long making his way out. What up, the South Philly Psycho Dom in the building? What's good, bro? Definitely got some Paulie flashbacks during the segment. Maybe male and female tag champs fighting for both brands. I don't think that's going to happen just for the fact that they were specifically announced to go to Raw. So I don't know if they're going to make new women's tag team champions for SmackDown and then just take the SmackDown tag team champions away from Sami and KO. We shall see. Out comes the wrestling god, JBL. So I believe this is round 5 of the night. We'll talk about round 4 in a minute, but let's see who they draft here. Monday Night Raw gets the Alpha Academy, so they're going to be staying put. Otis and Chad Gable staying with Monday Night Raw. Good pick. Rick Boogs to SmackDown. All right. A lot of the big names are off the board, so we're getting more of, I guess, the mid-carders here. Monday Night Raw getting Katana Chance and Kaden Carter from NXT. Really awesome. Early in the night, it was announced that Pretty Deadly got drafted to SmackDown. Really cool to see some NXT stars being called up. Shout out JD from WrestleBread. Thank you so much for being here. So More NXT women being called up. Definitely awesome. And Kaden Carter been there, and Katana Chance been a part of NXT for a hot minute. So really cool to see them get their chance on the main roster here. Cameron Grimes to SmackDown. Nice. I like it. Cameron Grimes going to take SmackDown to the... Oh. Hell yeah, Tim. I agree. It's about time. You know what I mean? Like I said, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance been a part of NXT for a hot minute. So definitely excited for them to be getting a shot on the main roster here. JD says, hopefully women's tag team division will pick up. Hey, with Alba Fire, and now you got Kaden Chance and Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, there's definitely some more women tag teams in that division. Now I guess you don't have to put teams together with two singles wrestlers when you have more established tag teams coming up, which is really cool. Tim says, Cameron Grimes, that's great. Definitely a great pick. Tribal Chief says, nice picks. To the moon. And I guess that was the last round of the night, because we're about to get into the main event of Monday Night Raw here. Solo Sikoa being accompanied with the wise man, Paul Heyman. He's going to be going against Seth freaking Rollins. As they make the entrances, though, I do want to talk about the other rounds that I didn't talk about earlier. HBK says that Raw picks Liv Morgan and Raquel Gonzalez. Like I said, the Raw women, well, the tag team champions for the women and the men's being on Monday Night Raw is very interesting. SmackDown gets Asuka. Really good pick there. Raw gets The New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Really good picks. Good tag teams in that division to go against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And SmackDown gets the Brawling Brutes, which I think is interesting. I think that the Brawling Brutes now being on a separate show than Imperium is going to keep things fresh, because as awesome as the Brawling Brutes and Imperium was, I feel like we went to the well one too many times, and that was a matchup that they kept on going back to. So I'm glad that we got some separation here between some of these feuds. Same thing goes for LWO and the Judgment Day. I think that it's good that we got some separation here, so we get new feuds, new stories. Also, let's talk about round 4 here, or round 5. Raw picks Trish Stratus, which I know Trish Stratus has been a part of the show lately. I wasn't, sure if she was going to be eligible to be drafted here. Really interesting that Raw gets Trish Stratus. I think that's awesome. SmackDown gets Karrion Kross. He's going to be staying put on SmackDown. I really hope that Karrion Kross could show what he could do, because we all know the type of star Karrion Kross could be, but we'll see if he could show what he could do. He's staying on SmackDown. Hopefully they have something for him. Raw gets Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Great women's tag team coming to the show that has the women's tag team champions, so makes sense. And then it is announced that SmackDown gets L.A. Knight. And I hope, just like I said about Karrion Kross, I hope L.A. Knight gets an opportunity to show what he could do, because I feel like L.A. Knight is definitely a future world champion. He's the total package. I don't think anyone will combat that. L.A. Knight is the fucking man. And then round 5 or round 6, I haven't kept track of the rounds. Molly Holly and Road Dogg come out, and it is announced that Raw gets Braun Strowman and Ricochet. Okay, draft pick. I like the tag team. I don't know about you guys. I like the tag team, but I don't think that they have much longevity as a team. SmackDown gets Shotzi. Good pick. Raw gets Bronson Reed, which I am happy about, but I'm also upset about, because I wanted to see more of Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley, and now that Bobby Lashley's on SmackDown, it's bittersweet. We're going to get that matchup at Backlash this Saturday, which is cool, but it's not the one-on-one rematch that I wanted to see. I thought that maybe Bronson goes to SmackDown and we continue that feud, but instead Bronson will be on Raw, Bobby Lashley on SmackDown. So I guess the next time we see Bronson and Lashley in the ring together this Saturday might be the last time for quite a while, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? And then another big, like I said a little while ago, another big NXT call-up, SmackDown will be getting pretty deadly. Pretty deadly. Love them or hate them, have definitely impressed on the on NXT on Tuesdays. I would have loved to see the Creed brothers instead. I'm not hating on Pretty Deadly. You know what I mean? Definitely cool that they're getting the opportunity. But I think that the Creed brothers is the tag team right now in NXT. I would love to see what they could do on the main roster. But maybe it's a little too early for them. Maybe it's not their time quite yet. I don't know if we're going to be getting more picks after this main event. I doubt it. But, I mean, I know on SmackDown they had that SmackDown Lowdown show where they had some extra picks. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Raw will have another show quite like that will have some extra picks. What up, Dan? Appreciate you being here. Check out Cage My IQ to the moon. Bronson Reed versus Gunther. Book it. I would love that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they wrestled in PWG one time. I believe it was for the Battle of Los Angeles. Keith Lee may have been a part of that match too, but I remember Walter and Jonah Rock, if you remember that name. I remember them getting down in PWG. Definitely would love to see them, run that back. I definitely could have used more Bobby and Bronson. Hell yeah, me too. There'll be extra picks on Raw Talk. All right, cool. That's what I thought. You know what I mean? Probably nothing too big. Probably not going to get a big call-up, but you will get, some extra names being moved around here on Raw and SmackDown. Before we get into this main event, let's talk about some other matches that was on the show. Jimmy Uso versus Matt Riddle. Good matchup. I enjoyed it. I'm not a fan of Matt Riddle's new look. I miss the MMA trunks. I'm not feeling the tighty whities that Matt Riddle's been rocking. Definitely not, flattering to him. But yeah, I think that, that was a pretty good matchup. I like the fact that Jey Uso tried to get involved. He got ejected. Out comes Seth freaking Rollins here to go against Solo. This is about to be a banger of a main event. You know what I mean? I am excited for this. Solo Sikoa has been getting a lot of main events lately, and he's been delivering. I don't think that anybody could hate on Solo Sikoa. He's been delivering in the main event. And Seth Rollins is a shoo-in. Every time you need a great matchup, I don't think you could get any less from Seth Rollins. So Tim says Solo has been all over the shows, both shows. Yeah, they trying to definitely, push him. They're definitely making Solo a threat. It's going to be interesting to see where they go with this. But let me know in the chat, do you think Solo Sikoa has been delivering in that spot? Do you think he's been living up to the hype? I loved his matchup with KO, the main event of Raw, I believe 2 weeks ago. I really enjoyed the matchup where he main evented with Matt Riddle. I think he's been delivering. JD says, Baby Oos is holding it down. Hell yeah, he has. Hell yeah. Hey, this is about to be a good matchup right here. As this matchup goes, I also want to talk about Nakamura on Monday Night Raw. If I'm not mistaken, since Nakamura has been called up from NXT, which was 2017, I would say, 2017. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nakamura has been on SmackDown this whole time. Nakamura has never been a part of the Red Brand. So really cool to see Nakamura. And I really hope that Nakamura gets a push. You know, I enjoyed the Miz TV tonight with Nakamura and the Miz. You know, they're definitely building Nakamura back up. You know, he's the king of strong style. He took out the Miz, and I like the fact that they had him speaking, you know, to show that he could speak English, because I know a lot of people say, oh, it's the language barrier that's holding him back. I don't think Nakamura is not a guy you need to put a mic in his hand to begin with, though. Nakamura is a guy who is charismatic enough without even talking. So I just hope that Nakamura, you know, is in the title picture. I know that that's what Miz and Nakamura were basically teasing, going for that new world heavyweight champion. Nakamura deserves it. He's definitely a star. Before he came to the WWE, he was a megastar. I think that, you know, they tried his hand with him with him winning the Royal Rumble and going for the title at WrestleMania against AJ Styles, but since then he's kind of been like, you know, stuck in the mid card. I hope that Nakamura is given the proper respect and a good push on Raw now that he has a change of scenery. And that's why I like the draft. You know, I know a lot of people are shitting on the draft, but I like the fact that you're going to have a change of scenery for some of these guys, which is going to be good for some of these guys. I like even guys like Gunther, who's been killing it, right? Killing it on SmackDown. But now you freshen it up a little bit. We see Gunther on Raw, and we're going to have some fresh matches. Seth Rollins about to get Ariel here on Solo Sikoa. Nice spinning heel kick by Solo Sikoa. Solo's agile for his size. But, yeah, that's Samoans in general. I remember, you know, Samoans in general are just fucking natural athletes, no matter what size they are. Let's see. We got the chat right now. Tim says, I think Solo has been living up to. I totally agree. I think that he definitely has been stepping it up now that he's in the main event. Oh, hell yeah, Solo has delivered. Even his match with Cody was fire. This should be too. Nakamura versus Seth Rollins, please, in the future. Yeah, I remember. I think they faced once at like Survivor Series, and that matchup was pretty fucking awesome. So I would like to see a lot more Nakamura versus Seth Rollins. He's been on Raw as much as he's been able to talk. At least we got both tonight. Yep. TK says, give me Nakamura versus heel Drew. Once Drew beats Seth for the belt. Drew versus Nakamura sounds like a fucking banger. And that's, you know, no pun intended since you're Mr. Banger of podcast. But that sounds like a fucking banger. Like, sign me up for that. Dan, I think, agrees with that too, TK. JD says, give me a proper Nakamura versus AJ Styles. Word. Yo, if they were able to do what they did at Wrestle Kingdom 10, I want to say it was, that matchup was amazing. And not saying that the WrestleMania matchup fell flat, it just didn't have that same feel as Wrestle Kingdom. I feel like if they were able to have like that style of matchup, that New Japan style matchup, it would have been amazing. So I'm all for that. Give me a proper AJ versus Nakamura. I know right now we're probably not going to see them for a while because they're on separate brands, but I'm all for that. And TK, I'm all for this too. Nakamura versus Finn. You know, rivalry dating back to 2013, 2014, New Japan. They had their matchup at NXT TakeOver. I believe one of the takeovers they had a matchup. And then they wrestled, I believe, a couple times on the main roster. But Finn Balor right now, I love this Judgment Day Finn Balor. He's been firing on all cylinders. And, yeah, give me Nakamura versus Finn as well. Dom says, like I said Friday, name the last Japanese WWE champion, and Yokozuna don't count. Give Shin that belt. Hey, you know, I just want him to at least have a proper showing. Like, I don't know if he's going to be the first WWE World Heavyweight Champion, but definitely give him a proper showing in the tournament. If they have a tournament, I could see him going semifinals. I could see it coming down to Cody, Seth, Nakamura, and Finn maybe, or Drew. No, definitely Drew. Yeah, that would be nice, you know. Shin versus Brock. A lot of people forget Shin and Brock actually wrestled. So, shout out for you saying again, because Shin and Brock wrestled in New Japan, and that was when Shin was a totally different wrestler. So, yes, give us that matchup again. They wrestled in Finn's last match on NXT TV. I knew they wrestled sometime on NXT. I forgot if it was a takeover or not, but definitely I would love to see that matchup again. Back to the action here. Seth Rollins with a Enziguri on Solo Sikoa. Like I was saying, these Samoans are agile, and it's just in their blood. You know what I mean? They're always a little stocky. They're always a little big. Look at Umaga. Fucking fast and agile as hell. You know what I mean? Look at Jacob Fatu on the Indies doing BMEs, all that shit. I know he's not a part of the family, but look at Samoa Joe, another big, stocky, meaty Samoan wrestler who could fucking dive and hit some nice kicks. Samoans are just natural athletes. Big clotheslines by Seth trying to take down Solo. Yo, Seth Rollins always looked cool in white. I always liked when Seth wore white. I don't know why I'm making tonight about gear. Usually I don't do that. Usually it's not about the gear. But fashion tips with Dinero. Seth Rollins needs to wear more white. Riddle needs to wear less trunks. Well, not less trunks. We don't want to see naked Riddle, but you could go back to the MMA style trunks. Nice dive there by Seth freaking Rollins, going for a second one. Solo's on the announce table. Seth Rollins is on fire. He's about to burn it down. Nick says, me? Boy, I wish. I was on the basketball team one time, and I fucking was benched the whole season. I wish I was more athletic than I want to be. Dom says, remember, Rosie Du was a planet and agile as fuck. Yes, Rosie. If I'm not mistaken, that's Roman Reigns' brother, right? 3-minute warning. 3-minute warning was the shit. Remember when Eric Bischoff, speaking of Eric Bischoff, nice cameo by Eric Bischoff tonight. Fresh off of calling CM Punk a bitch on his show. Eric Bischoff been talking crazy lately. Eric Bischoff sounded like he wants to get into a fight with CM Punk. Now, I know CM Punk rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but if nothing personal happened with Eric Bischoff and CM Punk, to come off and say CM Punk is coming off like a bitch, that's wild. Eric Bischoff is getting a little wild in his old age, but nice to see Eric Bischoff tonight. You know what I mean? Who remembers when Eric Bischoff, huge Uranagi by Solo Sikoa. Who remembers when Eric Bischoff used to give people 3 minutes and then the 3-minute warning will come out? And they had a banger of a fucking song too. 3 minutes and it's all you got is 3 minutes. I don't know if that's the lyrics, but something like that. 3-minute warning was the shit. Dom says, no more boxer briefs, Riddle. Facts, bro. Facts. Put on your little fucking short trunks. Another huge Uranagi by Solo Sikoa. Seth Rollins is in trouble. Seth is in trouble. Big clubbing blows by Solo. Oh, man. Solo going after the ref. The referee can't stop this. You can't stop Solo. It's the enforcer. That was a crazy time period. I remember when 3-minute warning took out Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah. Crazy times. Yo, WWE was a different animal back in the day. Huge super kick by Seth Rollins. staggering Solo Sikoa, stopping in his tracks. Oh, here comes the Usos. Match is thrown out. The Usos take out. Oh, here comes the Cavalry. We got Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Matt Riddle. Like I said, it's weird because this is a show where we just were announced that both these teams are separating. The Bloodline, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are separating. But they also are going against each other at the Backlash PLE. So this Raw served two purposes. Not only was it the draft, but also we got, a go-home show. And we abruptly go off the air. So let's talk. What did you guys think about Monday Night Raw? You know what I mean? That was a little weird that they just went abruptly off there like that. I miss when Raw had that run over. They give them a couple minutes run over. I mean, did we just literally, what the fuck is it, Survivor? Oh, fuck this show. We couldn't see a little bit more brawling from the Bloodline and Rollins, Riddle, Seth, and wait, it's also funny. Did I just say Rollins and Riddle on the same page there after their feud? And that's another thing I wrote down in my notes. I hope that Riddle, even though he got the victory today against Jimmy Uso, I hope that Riddle gets a push because Riddle was on fire before his suspension. Riddle beat Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules and it looked like he was riding high, and then that was it. Got suspended, came back. Now he's getting victories, but no one's really talking about Riddle like he's like, the next up. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens there. What was that like? We get a brawl and we just go off the air. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a okay Raw. Definitely good action. I really enjoyed the Judgment Day versus the LWO. I like the draft picks. I'm excited for Backlash, but that ending fell kind of flat. I don't know, but that definitely fell flat. TK says Riddle been on both shows every week since he's been back. One of a few. I definitely want to see Riddle succeed. I definitely like Riddle. I just think that, sometimes he may be his own worst enemy. But yeah, let me know in the chat. What did you think of Monday Night Raw? What did you think of that main event? I thought the main event was going well until we got just abruptly thrown off the air here. I don't know. The fans right now are getting their 8-man dark match. But I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed watching that main event with all of you. Thank you for showing up and riding with me for the first episode here of Doggin with Dinero. We're going to be here every Monday watching the main event together. I appreciate you all. Shout out to my Bloodline brothers and sisters in the motherfucking chat. I appreciate you all. Like I said, boom, right here. Check out the website, bloodlinenetwork.com. Amazing content, all our podcasts, all the audio, all amazing articles, sports, entertainment, professional wrestling, right there, bloodlinenetwork.com. And right here, subscribe to the Bloodline Entertainment Network right here on YouTube. Subscribe and follow here on Twitch. Fucking like the page here on Facebook. Follow on Twitter at Bloodline Entertainment Network. Yo, join the Bloodline. Acknowledge the Bloodline. Check out the website. Subscribe now. I'll be here on Sunday with a new episode of The Circle of Debate. It is the 3-year anniversary, and your boy will be on it. And then I'll be back here on Monday with a new episode of Raw Doggin with Dinero. So I love you guys. I hope you have a great night. Thank you so much for joining. You know what I mean? This is the start of a beautiful journey, and I can't wait to do more with you guys. And by the way, thank you so much for, coming and checking this out. Especially this is my return to being live on the Bloodline here for one of my shows, which is awesome. So thank you so much for always riding. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a good night. Shout out to the chat. This chat is still popping. Y'all got Ivan in the chat. That Vince booking for sure, looking gorgeous. You said Muffin. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you, El Presidente. You know what I mean? Throw your ones up in the air. What's up, man? Shout out to Juggernaut097. Shout out to the Tribal Chief. I appreciate you all. Shout out to UW Pod. Shout out to Tim King. Shout out to Dom. Shout out to Dan. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to JD. I appreciate you all. Love you guys. Have a good night, y'all. I'll catch you here on Sunday. You know what I mean? Make sure all week tune into the Bloodline Entertainment Network. So much great content here on the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Subscribe right now. Throw your motherfucking ones up in the air.